Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's a Gunna situation. He posted something on IG today. If anybody who doesn't know who Gunna is, he's a Southern MC from Atlanta who got wrapped up in the Young Thug YSL case somehow. I guess he was riding in the car on some random night and something was in the vehicle. They got stopped, and now fast forward to where the case is taking place. He's out. Audio was released in regards to him in the courtroom saying yes ma'am to some statements that basically uh, further this case along. And so now he's out and is posting on IG that he's back and that YSL is a label, and that, you know what I mean, he's ready to get back to work as an artist. And that people look like they switching sides, but ain't no switching sides. He's YSL, and he's back with 2 C's, no CK, because of his affiliations. Even though this is so not smart at all, but he decided to make it clear he's still blue. And my thing is, I don't know how. As a humble civilian on the outside looking in, I don't know how. Coming from Los Angeles, California, I don't know how he can walk around and just be cool and continue to keep it going unless he's paying some significant money to some significant people. And that's what comes to mind. It's like, this is yet another 6ix9ine situation. And I know a lot of people are starting to see it for what it is, man. Gunna is a artist, man. And although the rest of these guys were artists, some of them weren't artists, man. Some of them had their own dealings, and they were doing a thing outside, and they were involved in whatever. And this case is a reflection of those circumstances. And I think that Gunna happened to be hanging out as an artist with some guys that he shouldn't have been hanging out with. Yeah, you're attached to them in regards to your rapping. Yeah, you're attached to them because y'all be on tour, whatever. But when it's time for people to be moving around the streets of Atlanta, you probably shouldn't be moving around with them, if you know, especially if you know what the lifestyle is. And so I just think he was in over his head, and I think he's culpable for some of that. Obviously, the people who were involved are culpable for allowing him to be around things. No different than 6ix9ine, the situation. And then there goes those who are above them, the label, who are also culpable in the situation. And of course, last but not least, is those who are pressing against the case, who are also culpable in the situation. Those who are prosecuting are very culpable in regards to what Gunna was involved in, knowing that they are actually watching everybody. And of course, the situation played out as it is. And the reason why I say they're culpable, even though this is their functionality, is to put these people in these positions to get justice for whatever's taking place. It's still an occurrence that they play a role in. And I think that gets lost in all of this when we start talking about the culture of snitching and the confusion of what it is that we're seeing in this situation, with Gunna coming out acting as if we didn't see what we saw. It really speaks to the hypocrisy of what it is that we're actually dealing with as a whole. The rubber has actually met the road, and there's no way to make this make sense anymore. The reality is, the culture of the snitching crap is something that is being tested. And as I've said this in this camera many times, they are doing what I believe is a social experiment on the art of trying to get the people who have a culture of not speaking to them to cooperate. So you have a culture of people who refuse to cooperate for reasons that make sense to them. Keeping their people out of jail, keeping their loved ones out of jail, keeping themselves from being coerced into things that ultimately put them in prison, to pull them away from their children. In a lot of cases, this becomes a custody situation, which ultimately murks it all the way up most of the time. But even more so, which is why I think those who are prosecuting should be held accountable for what ultimately is created by these environments, for which is what it is that they're doing anyway when they say they're holding Young Thug accountable for everything that happened because of whatever it is that took place. They're essentially saying his actions started a domino effect of other actions that needed to be held accountable for. And so my thing is, okay, well, yeah, that is a logical application of accountability. Now, can we apply it to those who are also holding those accountable? Or is that not something we should be doing? Because to me, it's like y'all playing with the culture of snitching when you know there is a dangerous element to it that is not being taken into account. And now when you see situations like this that are being plastered in front of us, you got the confusion of people trying to make sense of what it is that they understand. That this man snitched, that the culture of snitching is supposed to be polished as something that is a confusing thing in and of itself. It's not presented to us as something that's supposed to make sense. It's presented it to us in a very, very chaotic manner. In other words, you are not supposed to snitch, but you are, because the authorities are who are supposed to be getting the bad guys off the street. But you support the bad guys because the labels invest in the bad guys' position, which is spin the block, sell drugs, do all the bad stuff, and get money. So it's like now, it's like, okay, the label has to back Gunna's continued pressing of that agenda, because that's ultimately what they're really about. Right? They were making money off of the culture, but the culture is also to not snitch. However, to get their artist out of prison, he had to snitch. So now what do? You just keep the front up and hope it works out. 6ix9ine just did it, right? So it's like, what do they do if they're gonna? Well, he's a lost artist. If he comes out and says, I snitched, but I got some music out, they're gonna be like, nah, that doesn't work. So what do? Just keep the cap going. We're all capping anyway, right? It's all fake anyway. This guy wasn't really a thug to begin with. So what do? We just sit him right back out there with the same agenda and see if it sticks. And if it doesn't work, he's a lost artist. What's the use? You see what I'm saying? It's like if we can't run the same game plan, we ain't gonna come up with another game plan. He's just asked out. And they'll drop him if he doesn't do the numbers, and that's it. And that's what you're looking at. That's what I think you're looking at anyway. Is them saying, hey, we're not going to change the game plan for Gunna. We sent him out here as a Crip gangster, and he got himself involved in some stuff. We pulled our investment out of that situation as best we could, and now we're going to send him back out there as a Crip gangster. That's it. That's all. And the reality is none of this made any sense. It never was supposed to make any sense. It was all capped from the beginning. It's all warped logic from the beginning. Nobody should be looking at snitching this way at all. None of this is right. All of this is wrong, and it's presented to you as wrong. So when the rubber meets the road, it's not gonna make no sense. That's what you're looking at. When the rubber meets the road with the hypocrisy that is invested in, which is meant to make us deteriorate ourselves and destroy ourselves from the inside out, when it comes down to it, the rubber's always gonna meet the road with the hypocrisy, and this is exactly what it's gonna look like every single time. Why? Because they're not gonna change the game plan, because the game plan was never meant to make any sense in the beginning. It was meant to confuse you. So they're gonna continue to confuse you. Don't snitch, but you're supposed to talk to the authorities. And then they coerce you into positions when you get in those positions to where it's like, your life is over if you don't cooperate. But the common public is still gonna look at you and say, you're supposed to not cooperate, even though we're also looking at you with that same breath and saying, we wanna solve these cases. See what I'm saying? It's confusion. It's evil. That's all it is. It's straight up, deliberate conundrums in place for you to be confused by. And if you know what you're looking at, then you're not confused. This is what the devil does, man. He's just sending stuff out there for you to be confused by. This is devilish. That's all it is, y'all. This is the art of sending black people to their doom. Okay? This is what this is. It ain't deeper than that. This is a million different variations of this very simple concept. You know what I mean? And we're just looking at a version of it. The version they're working with right now, snitching. Make snitching as confusing and as vilified as possible while showing us examples of that to us, because that's the image they want us to see of black person in 2023. If you're not a snitch, then and if you're the female version, then you're some type of just low level frequency clown that's looking to do weird things to your body that you look at as a high esteem thing. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, obviously I got to say the most outlandish thing. Obviously I got to be wearing nearly nothing most of the time. Obviously I got to be telling other little girls that this is how you keep your esteem up. It's all about money. Love is nothing. I'm the main character. Everybody else is whatever. Give me mine. And if we happen to find ourselves in jail, we didn't give you a plan for that, because that's not even a part of what we're thinking about. But if for some reason you do find yourself in jail, then you can't be a snitch. But you also don't want to do 100 years, because that's the rest of your life. You're never going to get out. But if you do that and you stand there for 100 years and allow yourself to be literally given to the authorities and you hold it down without snitching, do you know what you'll receive? Respect. A fake respect that comes with an attachment to it. And what is that attachment to it? Forgottenness. You are literally forgotten. Why? Because you're going to be in jail for 100 freaking years because you held it down. So for about 5 minutes, all of us right now are going to say, that dude held it down. He ain't no snitch. And then he's going to be gone forever. And we'll think about him maybe 5, 6, 7 months down the road, say, yeah, he didn't snitch. He sure didn't. He's still locked away. Free him. He's still in jail. That's the respect. Or he could snitch, come out, and worry about if somebody's going to kill him or not. And his whole family and everything else. And then they'll label him a snitch, and he can go run around and toy with the idea that snitching should be okay, like 6ix9ine is doing. It's the only thing he can do to make money. So what I'm telling you is, this is a trap that is sending poor people and underprivileged, often undertreated in terms of education and different things from these environments. They put this crap in these people's minds, and they throw liquor and drugs and all these different stuff at them, and they send them out into the world and say, this is what you're going to get. This is what the streets are. Go out there and do it. And a lot of people are doing just that. And what they're looking at is their brother and their sister saying, we're going to do the worst stuff possible. And if we get caught, you better take those 100 years. And then they're agreeing and they're going out there, and obviously it's not working out. Of course it ain't working out. Of course it's not working out. Are you kidding me? And that's the point. It's like, this is a trap. And because of the arrogance and the evil of it all, and the way it caters to your vanity and your ego and your false sense of power, that you actually coerce yourself into this bad space that ain't no good for you, that's going to give you 100 years, or the conundrum of having to look like a snitch and look over your shoulder for the rest of your life. It's like, why you signing up for that in the first place, brother? That ain't no life. I'll tell you why you're signing up for it, because there's a lot of people who know exactly what buttons to press in your psychology who will make it look like it's your choice, when reality is this is the world you're in. They tell you don't really have no choice. And you either got to be smart enough to be able to think around it, pray around it, and have a life around it, and look at all this stuff for what it is, which is deliberate confusion meant to destroy you, or you're going to fall victim to it and run into the consequences that come with it, which is what they know 9 out of 10 people are probably going to do. Because the environment for which to think otherwise is coerced against. So what I think we should be doing in regards to this gunner situation is saying, see, there goes yet another evil trap for all the black boys and girls to fall into. One that we need to coerce ourselves away from. Snitching, involving ourselves in activities going to mess up our energy and otherwise get us locked up for 100 years or put in the ground too early. It's probably not good for our generational situation. We probably want to be able to have kids and grandkids, great-grandkids, great-grandkids, and great-great-great-great-grandkids, and that's going to stop all of that right here and now. And that's what they want. They want to be able to push forward without your generations, your genetics ruining everything for them. See, they're tired of you. They've built the country, they built the world. They don't need you no more to stand out in the sun and pick cotton no more. So then I need you to die so you can go away, and now they can be left with their machines. That's what they want. You got to know that. Black people are cattle. And so, it is what it is. We got to believe in something greater than ourselves, or otherwise we're gonna find ourselves in these traps at all times, coerced into circumstances that are just put there simply to confuse and destroy us. That's all Gunna's doing. Gunna is a part of a bigger situation. It's much bigger than himself, man. He was just a kid that was dreaming about being a rapper from a certain place. That certain place had all this going on in it, and he found himself involved in whatever path it allowed him to go down. What I hope to do is create a understanding that environment is not stuck in that way. We control that. We just got to understand what's in place that makes us think we don't have that control. All this Gunna stuff, all this 6ix9ine stuff, it is useless. The reality is you should not even be trying to involve yourself in anything that should mess up your life, because you only get one of those. You only get one of those. I was looking at something, me. My mind, I was looking at some IG post, and it was at random. It was showing a bunch of tombstones, unfortunately. God bless the dead, but these were labeled, and I'm not going to, I respect this. I'm going to say it like this. These individuals were labeled in this post as because I will not minimalize individuals. Russian crime bosses, mob bosses are what they would label as, right? Maybe they identified as such, I don't know, but I won't minimalize a person, especially when they're gone. Not my style. But what I will say is, these guys, their tombstones represented the lifestyle that they lived. And a lot of these people, when you look at the tombstones, they died young, man. They died young. These people, they didn't make it past 50, most of them. And you see the tombstones are like dark black, and then they have like these real, almost like video game-ish, if you know of like Max Payne, that type of vibe. It was almost like they had Max Payne versions of themselves, and these really, really, really cool, I'd say cool, to be honest with you, like settings where they're sitting at a table with a cigar. They got the Smirnoff on the table, maybe got a nice car on the side, real nice jewelry on if it's a lady. And I'm thinking to myself, as I watch all this, I'm like, their lives, they lived a certain way, however it went. It was about the money. They wanted that represented. People wanted that represented. But at the end of the day, they didn't get a full life out of this thing. A lot of those people, they may not have had children. Their children might have been coerced in the same stuff. What came to mind is what they were chasing, a lot of the times may have cut off their ability to keep going as a family. Young people dying before they have a chance to have children, young people dying before they have a chance to leave a foundation of what it is that they're trying to be about. It's like the world that we're in is a continuum. We're dealing with plans that have been in place for years that are continuing. People who've had wealth for years that are not about to let it go in 2023. And they're going to continue their family line. They're going to make sure that they're going to pass down. They're going to have so many children. They're going to make sure their children are straight. They're going to make sure their children are educated. They're going to make sure their children are away from these environments where this confusion is deliberately put in place to control the people. They're going to make sure their children are outside of those environments. And they will go on. What I'm telling you is we need to learn how to survive in these environments, not just for today, but to go on. Because that's what they're doing. This whole thing about the Planned Parenthood and abortion thing, Kanye put that in my head, and I can't shake it. I'd never heard the concept of them trying to annihilate human beings by way of that, but it is definitely the most effective way to do it, especially if you can coerce the culture into thinking that's the only way to do it. You will get rid of an entire people if you can just coerce them into thinking that they can't live without abortion and shouldn't try to do anything but abort. And so what I'm telling you is there's a lot of different things that just make you feel like life ain't real. All the different images of young black girls they trying to show us are images of people who probably ain't going to get far. Because they're going after the wrong things deliberately. And while that looks like it's supposed to be confusing to us, to the overall world, it ain't confusing at all. It's folly. And it's not to be taken seriously, and it's not to have any leverage for itself. And this is what I understand as well. They've always played with our image, always played with our leverage, and we're always owed more because of it. And so they've continued to be able to do this while also being able to push us aside in various ways, eventually trying to push us off the earth. And I know this because they've been showing us this for years. So black people, people of color, and poor people need to come together because it's all one and the same at the end of the day. It's all one and the same. I hate to say it, but they treat us all as if we don't matter in that regard. And so it's going to be those who are last that are going to have to find a way to last in the presence of all this confusion. And I think that's one of the reasons why the good Lord created a person like myself. I think it's exactly why I'm here, to put that seed into the air, into those whoever will listen to me and just think about things that are outside of just what's normal in 2023, when we know a lot of this stuff is just webbed traps to stop people's generational path from continuing. And that is the deepest part of this circumstance that I can make sense of. They're trying to keep some of us from being here. They don't want to see the Fulmers in 21, 25. You understand what I'm saying? They're trying to stop this Fulmer stuff here. And for those who are wondering, that's one of my last names. It's the F in BDF. They want to stop that. And so my thing is like, man, we got to be smart enough to know what it is that's happening. We got to know what we're up against. And we got to be honest about each other as it pertains to what each other is up against. You know, as I continue to learn about certain things, I don't even know if I have a right to speak about certain things, but I do want to see whatever's going on in Israel get better. You know what I'm saying? That's as much as I'm willing to say. I want to see what's going on over there get better. Because the more and more I pay attention to things that don't pertain to me, the more and more I realize that the same thing that's happening to us is happening to some people in other places in different ways. And if we were to communicate and care about their business, we could help them and they could help us. I know it. I know it. The Black American and the Palestine are probably the best friends. And we don't know each other or of each other's problems. I get chills when I say it because I know it. We're probably best friends. We just will never be in the same space at the same time. But that's where our allies are. Our allies are in places where people are not being treated fairly, because we can relate to that better than anybody else in the world, and we can help them out of them circumstances and make them strong just like we've been made strong. We can do that. Through culture and influence and good energy, we can change the freaking world, black people. We can do it. We've already done it. We've done it through our culture in the presence of the confusion that is put there to confuse us. Imagine if it wasn't there. Imagine what we could do to the world. How we can change the world for the better. You think we can? When I look at people like Michael Jackson who've walked the earth, the way that he influenced things just with culture alone, you think we can't change the world, man? Kidding me? That's what we're here for. And so that's why I'm telling people the way that I'm speaking. And the way that I'm speaking is to say, preserve the black life, man. Preserve the black image and give us back our leverage. Stop using our image to destroy our image. Stop using our image to destroy our image. It's always been done. I'm tired of it. And it ain't just about being made fun of. Everybody can make fun of anything. Y'all can laugh at me all day long. It's not about folly. It's not about what makes us have giggles. It's more so about what's best overall for our image going forward. If you're truly looking to annihilate a people, do you know what that world looks like without them? Because it's one of those situations where it's like, look, if I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off of my thought, y'all trying to live in a world without black folks, do you know what that world looks like? And you're really trying to annihilate us. Are you sure you can live without us? Because the elements are still the same. The sun is still hot. And when everything turns off, who's actually going to be able to do the work? If the machines stop, if the electricity goes out, and it's left for us to deal with the sunlight and the snow, who builds? Who's strong enough to build? But you want to annihilate us? Can your science help you overcome what it will not be there when we're not there? If the answer is no, then you need us. And that's directly to white supremacy. The spirit of it, that of which hates me, can't live without me. And that is what it needs to understand. So why y'all up here trying to make every black person of a young nature look completely and utterly either stupid, confused, or close to the early death? Understand that there's something deeper there. There's something deeper there. And that's why we're not gone yet. That's why we're still here. It's not because what you were doing would not have otherwise been effective. It's because there is an actual God, and he did actually choose us for something. They won't say, oh, God's chosen people, people of God. Yes. Yes. To what degree, I don't know. Where much is given, much is expected. Where much is given, much is obviously taken later on. First will be last and all that other stuff. But what I'm telling you is, there are too many unique individuals that come from this complexion. Too many unique, special individuals that have come from this complexion that have provided too much good while this has been up against us. And it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off of the bullcrap. Because somebody needs to just say it the way I'm saying it right now. Trying to kill us. And can't live without us. Never could. Want to make fun of us and all this, but it's just one of those situations where I don't know if they know of a world that we're not in. They obsess over us to such a degree, and always have. And it's a lot of people who are not going to want to believe that a lot of what they see boils down to simple racism. But it does, friends. The devil will always try to make you feel like he doesn't exist. He will always discredit the truth no matter what. And they will always tell you that the race card is the least important card to play. But best believe that every damn thing that they did building this country up was not only meant to build the country up, but to discredit those who they've put to work to build it. And that practice was in place well before they thought of putting this thing together. You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to be a lot of people going to be like, oh, no, that's not the truth. Da, 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 da. It does not matter. It doesn't matter what they say. Because the reaction that God is having to that is happening in real time. This is what I said about, I was saying something in regards to it. It really doesn't matter what people think or doesn't think. If the truth is in place, the math will add up. It don't matter how you define good or bad. If somebody's doing bad, the karma will come back on them. And you will know what bad is when you see it. That blowback will define it for you, regardless of what lies you're telling about it. And that's what I know. God is real. Regardless of what it is that he has planned for these people with this skin or whatever this is that we got going on here, trying to annihilate us by way of our very own culture and by way of our very own sins, is something that I don't believe is supported on high. I don't believe so. And we start seeing people like Ellen come up here and telling the world that God is not happy, that she's looking at the elements as it floods outside her mansion, and she's worried about the world. I'm telling you, I second that. I agree with her. He pissed off. He's freezing places never been frozen. He's heating places up that's never been that hot. And this is just the beginning of that. And this is a natural reaction to our energy toward one another. And the confusion of some of this crap that we're engaging in right now. Sending each other in different directions that ain't no good. And silencing those who are trying to undo that nonsense. The earth will cleanse itself. I tell you the truth, man. It's meant to do that. We keep playing around like it's not taking a tally of all the energy that we're passing around. Just because we don't, doesn't mean that there isn't an entity that does. I kid you not. So that's what I gotta say, man. This is coming from directly within a black mind and a black soul and a black body. I love myself and I love my people, but I also love everybody else. Every time I open my mouth, I'm hoping to better the environment from which your child is going to be in. You know why? Because I don't know what environment my child will be in someday. What I'm seeing is my nieces and nephews who are part of different cultures now. Because my families and friends are moving on in life. And they're starting to have families with other people from other cultures. I don't know where my niece and nephew is going to be. I don't know where my DNA is going to be tomorrow. I got to make sure every household got something good in it from within my spirit if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't supposed to just be in our household because I don't know where my niece going to be. I don't know who she's going to be raising tomorrow. She could be raising Spanish kids, man. And if I'm really about my family, if I'm really about the betterment of my people, where does it stop? Just with the skin? How stupid does that seem? When I look at my great-grandfather, he was white. Will it stop with me? I don't know. I can't think like that, and I need to be able to fathom something greater than what is in front of me. Especially if it seems most can't. So no, I'm a black person with black love, black for myself, black all day, black, blah, 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 blah. But you best believe that I'm looking to connect with you in the betterment of your people and your circumstances. But first, we got to get this middleman out of the way that's trying to destroy me and my people. And the culture from which it's okay to uphold that nonsense. The culture from which it's been okay for thousands of years to discard of the black mind and the black body. I don't know if we're ever going to get to a place where we value black people the way I think the Lord values black people, since I'm saying we're the chosen this or whatever. I don't know if we'll ever get to a place where it's okay to look at us and say, yo, we need to pray with a black person because like they holy on some other stuff. I don't know if it'll ever get to that. But what I'm telling you is with the prayers that I feel in my spirit and what I look around, the energy around me, that may be where it actually needs to be. That may actually be the thing, though. Why y'all treating black people this, that, and the third culturally for the whole time this thing has been spinning? Maybe the actual vibe that God wanted y'all to be on was like, yo, when you find one of them, just walk up to him and be like, please play with me. Please pray with me. Please pray with me. That sounds absolutely insane. You have never been coerced into any type of culture where that would be normal. And we also believe that world peace does not exist and that there should be conflict in Israel and Palestine and all of this, and we shouldn't even be talking about it. We believe that's sane. We can X out the O in God on IG because we don't want to offend those who don't believe in him. That's sane. Y'all see why I don't buy into sanity? You see why I don't buy into sanity? Because snitching is no good, but the authorities are supposed to be good. They help us, but they're coercing us into jail, but not really because they're stopping the bad guys. So like, if you're out there in these streets and you're doing your gang banging and one of your bullets happen to hit a little girl, now I'm on their side. I want you away, see? But the conundrum is that same little girl's going to be left without a father because the guy who shot the bullet is her dad. So it's, you see what I'm saying? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? I don't know. The environment from which is coerced for it to look like this is the bad. That's what needs to be changed, not the people. The people are reacting to whatever the hell's down there. Who put the environment together? But see, in 2023, that's not saying I'm not supposed to be thinking that. I'm probably supposed to be watching, what is it, Wednesday night? Whatever is on prime time. That's what I'm supposed to be watching. I'm not supposed to be thinking this. I'm not supposed to be saying this. All of this is insane. Except for everything that's going on out there. It's going to coerce people to early deaths and confusion about who is around them and how they should be afraid about of whom and who not to be afraid of, which really coerces you into confusion. Have you thinking of what's looking at somebody like me like I'm about to rob you. Clearly, if you've been listening for the last 31 minutes, the last thing I want to do is take anything from you. But if you look at my image and the people who look like me and the way that the culture is, then you're going to look at me and say, if he's wearing the wrong thing, I got to shoot him first. Because obviously he's a gangster, he's going to kill me. Like, that's what they're telling you about me. It's craziness. And it's no good, man. It's no good. Those are lies. I'm the same dude telling you need to keep your family alive. And they want to silence me. Imagine that. Not even because of what I said, just because the culture of this skin is like, whatever coming out of his mouth is discredited. He's funny. Look at his big lips, big nose, skin. The folly in it all. It's absolute ridiculousness. And to think that there's a world of people that pride themselves on being intelligent, thinkers and builders, and they basically spiritually aligned this way. It ain't even in their minds, in their souls that we have to operate this with this calculator. Things have to add up this way. If y'all don't see the evil, the actual evil, not the fake definition of evil that makes things like what I'm saying be defined as evil. No. The actual evil that deteriorates things. Spirit of destruction. Actual evil? Yeah. That's what that is. So we need to understand. Read energy properly. You don't ever let nobody tell you a guy like Kyrie Irving's the worst guy in the world just because he mistakenly did this or that and it might offend a few people. If his energy's telling you it's peace and the Lord is showing you that the blowback is positive since he's literally playing the best basketball of his life right now, then you need to read the energy. Read the energy. There's two things going on there. It's what's coming out of his mouth, what people are doing, and it's what the Lord's doing in his life. Watch what the Lord is doing. That'll tell you what the energy actually is. But see, there's a lot of people who don't believe in the Lord, and the culture around us is like, no, there's no God. There's God, but no O in the God, so it's GXD, Xmas. Can't say he shot somebody. It's SXOOT. That's sanity in 2023. I don't want no parts of it. I like where I'm at. Thank you. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.